Hey everyone, it's Dave and I'm making this video for my players. It's a Planescape introduction for you noobs who don't know anything about it. So I'm going to go ahead and explain the planes, and here we go. Let's see, first I wanted to start off, let's give you a point. You players have all played Sandpoint before, so I'm going to give you a point of origin to start off at. So here's Sandpoint. And if we come out of Sandpoint, you're going to see the Hitherlands, and it's just a more of a bigger perspective. Now, hold still. I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, and if you pan out some more, you're here at Varesia. That's like the state basically that it's in. So if we pan out some more, you're going to find the Inner Sea. If you guys see that little red dot there, you're still you're actually in the continent of Everston. So I'm going to pan out some more, and there you see all the continents of the planet, and there's Everston. You're still on Galorian, so you're on the planet Galorian. We pan out some more. You're in Galorian space. Now, in Dungeons and Dragons, you actually have the ability to go from solar system to solar system with something called Spelljammer, and all these are little ships that you power with magic, and you can go from one place to another, but that's another whole system. But I'm still going with somewhere with this. So if you pan out, you're at the solar system, and now you have ships. You can go from one solar system to another, and you can go to realm space or to Dragonlance, all these other places that Dungeons and Dragons has. These pre-made systems and countless of other ones, like I could go to Bart's game or Troy's game. You can spell jam from here to there. Now, why I'm doing this is you're all within the same universe. All these are within the same area. It's infinite, just like our universe, and I just wanted to let you know that is called the Primaterial Plane. All of that fits into this little area here, but that's not the only plane of existence. There's lots of other planes that your character can go through. So here are the other ones: the outer planes, the inner planes, the astral plane, and the ethereal plane. Ethereal plane. Those are the ones I'm going to go over right now. So everything I just described right now, all your characters ever known, you've lived in the Primaterial Plane, and you can play characters either from these other universes that are different than our own, or you can be a character that, like, from the Primaterial, that goes to these planes. So I'm going to go ahead and describe that right now. The first ones I'm going to describe are the inner planes. Now, the ones in black are the major ones that I'm going to start off with. So there's the positive plane. Well, first let me start off like this. See this? All of these are like in a gigantic orb. You see how the little orbs all split up with these little areas. All those little areas have planes within them. So the major ones are the positive plane, the negative plane. Then there's the elemental plane of water, elemental plane of air, elemental plane of fire, elemental plane of earth. Now, positive and negative, I'll start off with those. The positive plane is like energy. It's like whenever you cast it's like life. Whenever you cast a spell like heal, you're channeling energy through the positive, the elemental plane of the positive energy plane. Whenever you're doing harm, it goes through the negative energy plane. All monsters, all undead monsters, get their power from the negative energy plane. So that's what those two are. If you actually went in there, let's say I was all beat up and I actually found a portal to the positive energy plane, I would go ahead and I'd get all healed up. And all of a sudden I'd get too much healing and burn up and become ash. It's like that part on Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, where that Nazi lady or the Russian lady goes ahead and gets all burned up because she's all, give me more power. And she gets burned up. Exactly what would happen. And the other one, you just get sucked up into a mummy and ash, and that's if you are in the negative energy plane. So that's those two areas. All right, now the next ones I'm going to explain are the elemental plane of air, water, earth, and fire. So here we are. Here's the elemental plane of air. If you opened a portal into the elemental plane of air and went in there, it'd just be like almost infinite air. There would be no. There's supposed to be like nothing else in there, just a bunch of air. So you'd be just falling down unless you could fly. But you can go from. I'd say it's infinite, but I read up on it, and you can actually travel if you like had a flying ship on the elemental plane of air. You could actually fly from here all the way to water and then all the way around. And that's the way it goes. But I'm going to explain that right now. So you have the elemental plane of air. It's a big, huge bunch of air. So you're flying around, and there's same thing with water. You open up the elemental plane of water. It's like almost infinite water. You're going to jump in there, and there's just going to be a bunch more. So you're going to drown. There's, you don't have magical protection. Air, you're pretty much okay. Elemental plane of fire, there's a crap ton of fire. You're just going to burn up unless you're elemental. You got like spells and stuff that make it so that you don't burn up. And earth, if you went in there, if you pushed yourself in, it's like solid rock. The creatures that live in there can like walk through solid rock and stuff, so you'll be fine. They'd be fine. You'd be screwed unless you had like a spell or a magic item that would let you walk through earth. So let's talk about a little bit of the creatures that live in there. Like there's like, these aren't by means the only things in there. This is like the an Afridi. They have like a big giant city called the City of Lead that's in the elemental plane of fire. And there's, every time you cast an elemental, like an earth elemental, water elemental, this is an earth elemental, water elemental, fire elemental, earth elemental, they all live in there. They're actually made of fire, made of earth, so when you conjure them here on the prime material plane, they come from that plane, fight for you, and if they die, they just go back to their plane. You trap one of these genie kind of guys, they have to grant you a wish, but yeah, they live there too. And there's other monsters that live on there too. These aren't the only ones. These are just classic examples that I'm showing you here. So yeah, there's creatures and monsters and stuff that live in there. So that's where I'm at here. Now let's say you go into the elemental plane of air, and you go ahead and you want to fly over to the elemental plane of water. So you're flying, doom to doom to doom. It's kind of hard to see here, but that says ice. In between it here is called the para-elemental plane of ice. So if you look from here, fire or water to air, right in between is ice. So that's going to be like a crap ton of ice in there. If you kept going from water, from water to air, there's ice. If you went from air and kept going to the fire elemental plane, I didn't even know this until I read the book, but yeah, you're going to hit the where is this? Water to fire, you're going to hit the elemental plane of smoke, or the para-elemental plane of smoke. And then from fire to earth is magma. So, and then from earth to water is ooze. So there are also like sub-elemental or para-elemental planes, and those have their own kind of monsters too. There are smoke elementals and ice elementals and magma elementals and ooze elementals. All of those are also in the game, and there's other monsters that live in those planes too. Lastly, just like when water and air, when those two touch, it makes those weird elementals. There's also the quasi-elemental areas, which are when water and the positive elemental get together, they get steam, because remember, that's a bunch of energy. And water and the negative element and the negative plane makes salt. So there's those quasi-elemental ones too. So air and positive make lightning realm. The air and negative make the vacuum realm. Same thing with fire and positive is the radiance realm, and fire and negative is the ash realm. And earth and positive make mineral realm, which is like a bunch of gems and stuff. So it's kind of powerful. I don't know. I've never been in there, but whatever. And then there's earth and negative, and that makes dust realm. Okay, so that does it for the inner planes, which you bump into a whole bunch. Okay, now I've already talked about the inner planes and the prime material plane. So now I'm going to talk about these two, the astral plane and the ethereal plane. So the astral plane is also known as the silver void. It's like actually the realm of thought. It's hard to think about it, but yeah, it's like a place that exists that doesn't exist. It's a realm of thoughts where you're supposed to go when you dream and all this other kind of stuff. So you can actually physically go in there, like go through a porthole, and then you're in the friggin' like this. You see this big misty land, and then all over the place. You can't really see that far, but you would see like what do you call those? Pools of water that are just floating there. They're different colors. So when you go through, you would go into like you'd fly into like the elemental plane of fire. It would just like have portals into other multi universes. So there's that, and that, or you can go in there mentally. There's a spell called Astral Spell where you'd be concentrating. Like let's say Bart's in one part of the like Bart's characters in one game world, and I'm in another one. I could actually meet up with him in the astral plane, like an internet kind of thing. And then both our characters would see each other, but we would have these. If you look on this guy here, he has a silver cord. So he has a silver. You would have this thin silver cord going off of you, which is cool. So yeah. So there's stuff like that. There's monsters in there too. I mean, if you look on the little picture, you really can't see it all that much, but there's stuff floating around in there. When a god dies, his dead husk is actually in this place too. So there's lots of weird stuff floating around in here, and lots of portholes. A lot of people go there because there's a bunch of portholes in different places. So, but it's got a lot of different rules. I'm not telling you guys all the rules for everywhere, just enough so you know things, so you're not totally clueless. So that is the astral plane. Next, I'm going to tell you about the ethereal plane. That's where a lot of like, it's also a silvery realm, kind of like the astral plane, but not really. That's where there's like ghost and ethereal creatures. So you would see them in like a ghost-like form here on the prime material plane, but when you cast like wraith form, you actually go in there. I have this picture here from Lord of the Rings where you remember Frodo puts on the ring and he sees those guys and the actual kings. They look like the kings. That's what happened. He's actually in the ethereal plane and he sees the ghosts for what they are, and they stab him. But anyway, so some spells let you go in there, and when you cast certain spells, you're actually in the ethereal plane. So there's a lot of monsters too where you're attacking them. If you went into the ethereal plane, you could attack their actual physical body, but here they could attack you and you really can't attack them. So it's like a ghost realm. So that's the ethereal plane. That's the astral plane. So now the meat and potatoes, the grand part of it, is the outer planes. So the outer planes are when you hear like myths and stuff of people dying and their souls go to the planes. It's like alignment based. And here we go. Can I actually make this bigger? It's plus. No. I could scoop this up more. Okay. This is the outer planes, the Great Ring. Now, there's actually more to this because Pathfinder has like a different version, but we're playing with Planescape. So I'm only covering Planescape stuff. Once you guys are good with this, we can tell you more. Each of these planes is like a little universe all unto itself. A lot of places have different levels to it. Like, this is Mount Celestia, also known as the Seven Heavens. There are 7 layers to this, and each one is different. I'm only going to tell you, like, the basics of, what it's like there. I'm not going to go into every single one because everyone's different, but you'd know a little bit about it. So, these ones right here. So, where is this? Arcadia, Mount Celestia, Bitopia, all these ones all the way up to Limbo here are the upper planes, the planes of good, lawful good, neutral good, and chaotic good. So this Arcadia section, it's wild, it's a lawful good, it's wild fort. So the more you're going away from like these planes of law, so it's going to start lawful good, then kind of go towards neutrals, and then it's going to go to the chaotic. So that's why it says planes of law here and planes of chaos there. So Arcadia, it's like a wild forest, beautiful like area, and it basically works towards the common good. when you go to the next one, Mount Celestia. Mount Celestia is a lot like hardcore lawful good, like Republican lawful good. Yes, you're gonna be lawful good or else. That's basically how that one goes. It's called the Seven Heavens in other game systems, or sorry, earlier versions of Dungeons and Dragons. Bitopia, if you look here, if you were standing here on the bottom and you looked up, you would see another land above you, and it's connected by this thing here. Hard work is basically what is king here in this area. If you're a slacker, they kind of don't like you, but they're not going to beat you up. If you go to Elysium here, Elysium, this is a place where a body can rest. This place. Whenever you watch a movie and you see them like in like their total dreamland where everyone's happy and they're running around and all that kind of crap, that's Elysium. It's a very boring place. So that's how that one goes. Beastlands, this is like Native American kind of like wide open spaces, and like the Happy Hunting Grounds is called another system. I mean, another additions. The Beastlands, all the animals talk there, so you can go ahead and talk to the animals, and they talk back to you. And if you bring like an animal, like if you brought your horse, if you rode your horse there, all of a sudden you go wild and whatever. This is a chaotic area, chaotic good, and that's basically where it is. It has 3 levels. Each one's different. Usually it's like night and day and stuff like that in that one. Borea. That one's Yasgard, and Emboria is the same one. So that is... let me look something up on that one. Oh, Heroes and Glory and all. That's where all the Asgard guys are. So it's like glory through valor and all that kind of stuff is here at Asgard's chaotic good. We're gonna go to Limbo. Limbo is, by the way, this Asgard. You know, there's 2 of them here. It's basically the same thing. So Limbo. This is the chaotic neutral plane. That one, like, it's ever changing. If you went there, it'd be like, wow, like a rock at your feet. And the next thing you know, slowly and quickly change into like a ocean, and then like you'd be floating in air, and all the stuff would just be changing gradually. It's utter chaos, and that's why it's the chaotic neutral plane. Pandemonium. Okay, now you're starting to get to the evil planes, the planes of chaos. Oh, sorry, the lower planes. The lower planes, since we're in the chaotic section here, so this would be chaotic evil. This is a land of, like, if you went in there, you'd see a big metal maze, and it'd be howling wind, and it'd be hard to concentrate. That's what Pandemonium is. And there's monsters running in there, so there's not that many, but there's a bunch. The Abyss, there's supposed to be 666 levels of the Abyss, all of them different and evil. But and they're all ruled by demon lords, which are really powerful demons. So, second edition, you couldn't call them demons. Demons, devils, and daemons are all different. For those of you who don't know, demons are chaotic evils, are like might makes right. Devils are like the devil, where they try to like be lawful, all totally lawful-ish, and try to get you to like sign deals and stuff, and those live up to the word but always twist it. And daemons are ultimate selfishness, so they'll do whatever makes them gain the most. So the Abyss has 666 levels, probably more, and each one of them, there's a billion demons that live there, and they're all chaotic and that kind of stuff. So there's those. Then there's this Karari. Karari is like in mythology, that's where they locked up the Titans after they beat them up. So it's kind of like a jail realm. No one ever goes there. It totally sucks. Next, they have the Grey Waste. The Grey Waste was originally called Hades in the other edition, but there's a big giant war called the Blood War between the 9 hells, the devils, and the demons. They fight on the battlegrounds of the Grey Waste. They're constantly trying to get the upper hand on each other. Anything that goes there, it's a gray and depressing. You start getting depressed, and the color starts fading off of everything. And there's monsters called daemons there that are like demons and devils, but they basically just they'll team with either side depending on who's paying them the most or whatever. So blood roar rages here on the wastes between the devils. I mean the demons from the abyss and the devils from the nine hells. Now when we play Planescape, they changed the name of those because like D&D was thought to be devil worship back in the past, so they called devils were called what are they called? Batazu, and the demons were called Tanari. So okay, Gehenna, that is an evil plane, and that has what's in there? Oh, these mountains are supposed to be like there's no like level footing, and you've fallen down all the time, and there's like lava and stuff over here, and there's a bunch of daemons that run around this place too. Let's see, and then there's Archeon. Archeon are like giant metal. It's like constant war, and there's like a bunch of levels, and each level is like this big metal, a big metal cube that are constantly smashing into each other and killing you and stuff. So that's what that one is. It's like a bunch of war, a bunch of like war deities of monsters, like orcs and goblins live in there. So next we have the Plains of Law, which it looks like a giant machine, and no one knows what it does, but a lot of people think that it makes the Great Ring continue. So on these are what lives there are like this race of super lawful people. I mean, like it's like a cube. They look like cubes, and hang on. There, I found them. These weird little guys live on Mechanus. See, there's Mechanus. And they're called Modrons. Sometimes they're shaped like all our D&D dice and stuff. But, yeah. These little guys run around. They're all, like, do whatever they say. And there's, like, a huge, rigid hierarchy. And it's pretty nutty. And, like, once every 100 years, they do, like, a visit around to every single plane and, you know, get killed off and stuff. They do the march around the planes. Okay. Let's see. We are on... Oh. Lastly, the true neutral place is called the Outlands. That's this big ring here. If you look on the Outlands, people think the Outlands is the most boring place ever. But contrary to that, it isn't. It has like monsters from every single one of this place on one area. If you look right in the middle, this is a gigantic, huge spire seen from everywhere around here. And as you get closer to the spire, less and less magic starts to work until even godly magic doesn't work right here in the middle. If you look here on the ends, there's numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are cities called gate towns. So this one, for example, number 1 is called Excelsior. So if I was on this side of Excelsior, I was on the Outlands. Once I crossed and went to the other gate, I would be in Mount Celestia. Since that's a lawful good place, this is a lawful good town. So lots of people visit these gate towns while they're there. So every one of them has their own, and there's lots of adventures and stuff in there. The last thing I need to tell you about is this donut-looking thing right here. That's called Sigil. It's right in the middle of all the multi-universe. Sigil looks like a big donut that's hovering above the spire. And if you look inside of it right here, so if you were standing in the middle of this and you looked up, there would be like city all the way around like this tire-looking thing. So then it goes all the way in there. No gods are allowed in there, and everyone pretty much behaves because they're afraid of this lady right here. Her name is the Lady of Pain. The Lady of Pain basically doesn't put up with any bullcrap, and will basically just kill anybody who's like not behaving. Any gods that are coming in there are barred. It's called the City of Doors because there's thousands of doorways that go in and out of there, but you need to know the right key to get in and out. Lots and lots of adventures are in Sigil, so it's a place you're going to become very familiar with. And when I'm talking about keys and doorways, I'm talking about these. Keys and portholes. A porthole is a way to another universe. Like you can be in the prime material and just have like a regular old doorway. Oops, wrong way. See, like this one. This dude's holding, where is it? He's holding a key, like a cup or something. And a doorway can take you into another dimension. Like, let's just say this one's hell. So he knows that this thing, he's all like, oh, if I hold this cup here, it's going to open up a gateway to hell. Bloop. A doorway, what could be a porthole? Anything. It can be an arch, a doorway, a barrel, anything. Just as long as it makes like a circle you can go through, can be a doorway. How can you sense it? There are plane touch creatures. So if you're a character that's from the planes, like, oh, I grew up in Bitopia, you would be a plane touch creature, and you'd be able instantly to sense that there's a door and there's a porthole there, but you don't know where it goes. So that kind of sucks. You don't know the key, and you don't know where it goes. What is a key? The key is what activates that door. It could be a movement, it could be an item, it could be a song, almost anything. So one thing could be like a song or a movement, like clap your hands or anything like there, like that can be a key to open that doorway. There's also spells that'll tell you what the key is, or if you have like sometimes like there's a skill. Well, I don't know if they'll have in Pathfinder where you can sense what the key is if you know roll high enough. Portholes can be one way or two. So you could go through the porthole, and then when you go to the other side, there's nothing. You just appeared out of nowhere. Other times, you go through it, and the key lets you through, but it might be a different key to go through, or you might just go through with nothing. You might go through one way it works, and the other way it doesn't work. You'd need a different key, or you could use it with the same key. So, and I think that's about it. Well, you pretty much know what you need to know to play the game now. So, I know it might be kind of confusing. You have any questions, go ahead and give me a call, and that's about it.